Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Clutch Entrepreneurs. Today we have a very special guest. We have a young Airbnb real estate investor who cash flowed over $170,000 of just 8 properties. My guest today, Rivera.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
For sure. We just met like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And you were helping me with my Airbnbs that I'm starting.
Exactly. We walked through the properties together.
And I think, how do we meet? I think you posted on one of my TikToks because I was about to spend too much money on furniture.
I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I was like, if you need any help, let me know. Like, reach out if you have questions.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think we met actually like a few years ago at one of my real estate events or a real estate event. I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
But you were already in the investing space.
In the game a bit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I see that you're doing well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You yourself.
$170,000 in cash flow.
Yeah.
That's good.
That was last year. I've been building it quite a bit since 2016, so it's been growing.
That's
each year.
awesome. So I've always been a flipper, a wholesaler. I like the money fast.
Yeah.
Right. And but if I stop working today, I don't make no more money.
That's very true. That's one thing that I like about Airbnb. I mean, it took me some time because I did invest in different ways, but then ever since, I think it was last year that kind of made the difference. No, 2021, I quit my full-time job and I've been able to sustain my living with Airbnb ever since then.
That's awesome. So nice. Basically it's cool because whether you work today, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know you work because it takes some, upkeep and you got to be a host.
Oh yeah. Of
right.
course.
Because it's like running like a little baby hotel.
Yeah. For the most part.
But still you don't have to get up and go find money.
No.
You just have to manage the properties.
You have to manage what's already there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to that aspect, that's the good part. So there was a little period of time that I didn't really want to do anything. So I took that bit of a break. It might have been maybe like a month or so. Yeah, every day I'm maintaining properties, responding to guests and stuff like that. But it isn't as much of a chase or hassle as much as my flips may be or as much as the long-term rentals may be as far as fixing things. So I get to keep an eye on the properties, pretty often. So if I know it's good, unless there's some crazy guest, then yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, no, but I really like the concept of cash flow. So now this year I'm going heavy on cash flow.
Let's go.
Because, I want to retire one day.
Yeah, of course.
And I want, to make money off of money. I want my money making money.
I'm making money for you.
Right. So so from now on, 170,000, you're just going to keep building on that.
I'm going to keep building on that in addition to the other investments that I have. But for the main thing kind of going and working for me that keeps that cash flow coming monthly is going to be the Airbnbs. And so I got to nurture that if I'm wanting to, continue and be able to retire early and not have to do a whole bunch of crazy things. So yeah.
But that's like a good salary. You can do a lot with that. You can live a very comfortable life.
And I'm very frugal, so I don't need a lot. So it works for me.
And I see that you're very hands-on too. I'll see your Instagram and stuff where you're literally with a hammer and stuff.
I think I have paint on my hands right now. Yeah, no, I like to be, if I could be hands-on and I could do everything, I honestly would rather cut the grass or build something than be on the computer. I hate being on the computer. So I would much rather do that and fix something. That's my guilty pleasure.
That's rare.
Yeah, I don't know. I was raised mainly by my dad. He showed me all these things. So, hey, here we are.
That's cool. So how did you find real estate investing?
So I actually found Airbnb before I learned anything about investing. So as far as Airbnb goes, I was told about it from a friend. Somebody stayed in Austin. And they're like, hey, I stayed at an Airbnb. I was like, oh, what's that? I was going to college full time, working full time. And I was like, well, let me check this out. I had a 3-bedroom house and I rented out 2 of the bedrooms from there and it just took off. So as far as Airbnb goes, it luckily was as simple as that. I already had the house and just kind of furnished a few things and that was great. But as far as investing, that was a bit of a different story. That didn't start until 2018 when I actually started an LLC, started the whole business process. And
2013?
No, 2018.
Oh, I was like, dang.
No, I started Airbnb in 2016. 2018 is when I got into investing.
Okay.
And I spent money, $32,000 on a program for fortune builders.
Damn. 32,000?
32,000. Wow. So they get you with come to this free class, we got you, and then you go to the free class, and then they're like,
they have a great
for
speech.
$200. I mean, they were all hyped. That was the most intense,
motivating
situation that I had been in. So I was like, I'm going to do this, you know?
One house flip.
I'm like, we got this,
I can flip one house
and then I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they got you with the weekend course for $200, and then they're like, but if you really want to, we have to interview you, and we'll see if we accept you for $32,000. And I was like, oh no,
Damn.
But honestly, I don't regret it, just because I need somebody to physically like say, hey, this is what you do. I don't listen to a lot of stuff or kind of learn. I should read and stuff, but I don't. So I need to be hands-on, and so that gave me the push I needed. So. Dang.
32 grand.
Yeah, and I didn't have it. So maxed out credit cards. I'd never been approved. I think I had one student credit card for I think $1,000. And then I opened up one with American Express for $10,000, another one for $4,000. And then I had a partner that went in with me at the time for $10,000, then $4,000. I had a little extra, threw it in there, and
damn,
yeah,
wow,
living on hopes and dreams.
What is Fortune Builders? Is that Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Like no, it's I forget his name. He was a football player, Than Merrill. At one time, hurt himself, and then he ended up creating this Fortune Builders thing. So you become a member for life. You have like the whole computer. You can get all the documents and stuff like that.
Of course.
Yeah. Overall, and then you get coaching. So not saying to go that route, but that's the route I went.
I bet you
there's
make
options.
Some money off that.
Yeah,
32 grand a person. They got the guy in the back waiting to just sell you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I think we have all gone through this. Well, first of all, you're an action taker.
Yeah,
It took courage
to do.
It might not have. Looking back, it might not have been a good thing, but would you be doing this if you never did that?
No, that's why to me it was worth it. I got on the phone real quick. I called my dad. I was like, hey, I'm about to put $14,000 in credit cards. He's like, that's a car. You're crazy. I was like, you're right. But if I don't do it, then, fine. If I don't make it, I'll be like, I'm a failure. It's fine. I didn't do it, blah, blah. I was like, but if I do, and that but if I do made all the difference in the world, because here I am. So. Dang.
Well, actually, I paid $20,000
really?
to one of my first mentors.
What was it? What was it?
Wholesaling.
Oh.
And I was already wholesaling. But yeah, no, he didn't teach me shit.
No, it wasn't worth it.
No.
Dang.
That one I don't think, like looking back, it was worth it. I just threw 20 grand.
Luckily, this one it had wholesaling, flipping. It didn't have Airbnb in there, but it had like money courses. They taught you how to set up your LLC. So they even had people come in and speak from like Nevada on the legalities of it and stuff like that. So I don't know. It made me take action.
It made you take action?
It did.
Well, yeah, I mean, you spend that much.
Yeah. You better if you're spending that much.
Actually, I mean, the one I did came with like a CRM, and I was so disorganized, and that actually kind of helped me build a company.
Oh, there you go.
But I didn't have to spend 20 grand for a CRM.
Very true. Very true.
But anyways, you live and you learn, guys.
Definitely.
I guess we're on this podcast because we're action takers.
Yeah.
So I mean, it comes with the good and the bad. But
you
now
spend some money, you make some money.
Yeah. Well, here you are though with a great salary.
Yeah.
Of a very hardworking person, where all you got to do is manage a few properties.
Thank you.
And it's growing.
Yeah, and it's growing.
Cool. So, so you're a real estate investor.
Yes.
Right.
Real estate.
First and foremost.
First and foremost.
Airbnb is just an exit strategy.
Yeah, it's one I chose.
Right. Yeah. So why did you choose Airbnb over the other ones?
So I have this like odd way of evaluating a property. Typically, if I get this feeling, and I know that's really hard to go off of, but whenever I get in there, I'm like, this is the one, I don't know whether it's going to be an Airbnb, whether it's going to be a rental, whether I'm going to do a cash out refi. There's like all of these options, right? That's the beauty of investing. But if it has a decent enough location, and if it gives me the opportunity to where there's not too many in the area, and it has a very high rate of return as far as the nightly rate, then it's a no-brainer for the Airbnb aspect. But it doesn't always turn out that way. If I don't want to put as much into a rehab, then I end up turning it into a rental. So like just depending on how the house looks whenever I go into it is kind of what I'll use to determine it.
Okay.
Numbers, it's all about the numbers.
So have you ever done a flip?
Yes, but I house hoard, so I don't know how to really get rid of my houses. I don't like to let them go.
You get attached to them?
I get attached to them, but I had this plan. I was like, okay, whenever I get older, I need to have X amount of rentals or X amount of Airbnbs. Once they're paid off, then I'll have this much income and I won't have to do as many things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my mentality kind of comes from. Plus, my very first flip wasn't a success. So ever since then, everything else that has worked for me, I've decided to keep. And Airbnb works for me, rentals work for me, owner finance. You know, I mean, I guess it's kind of selling to an extent, but over a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't get rid of very many of them.
So talk about your first flip. It wasn't a success. What happened?
So that's after paying $32,000 to fortune builders. I just learned, for me personally, working with a partner wasn't the best thing to do. I put in like 150%. And they didn't put in the other percentage at all. So they weren't even in the same city.
Wrong partner.
And so I was working full time in Bernie. So that was a bit of a drive for me. I lived by SeaWorld. And then I was going to school full time for my bachelor's in business. And then let's just throw a flip in the mix, you know, like that was just like, all right, cool, let's overload. So it was also my first time I had foundation, had a crappy foundation person, recommend highly to get a good foundation person. Always, first and foremost, before, you know, doing the rehab. So we over rehabbed and put way too many things in there and then had to tear up our beautiful floors to get the foundation refixed. And luckily I only lost $4,000, but still.
You lost $4,000 on the deal?
It could have gone worse. It could have gone completely worse. So
dang,
I'm
so
glad.
this point,
but at this point I was already 32.
You got a bad taste.
I'm 36, you know.
36.
$36,000 in the hole. And I'm like, well, damn. Like, what just happened? That's not how that was supposed to go down, you know?
Dang. So tell me about your mindset at this point. Are you like ready to throw in the towel?
So
what
yeah,
are you thinking?
like I was like, I'm not doing this. I don't like this. Like, I don't know. I was just so upset. I had like maybe 5 mental breakdowns during this time. And then the guy that did the AC for that house was like, hey, I have a friend that needs to get rid of their house. I was like, no freaking way. This is this easy. Like, there's no freaking way. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to do it. I mean, I don't know. So within a month's time, I had another house under contract.
So you weren't down for long.
So I was not down for long at all. And it was a 4th generation hoarder house in Adams Hill, near like 410-ish area. So it was a little bit, you know, rougher of area because the first house was a medical center. It was a 2-story, like 2.5 bedroom house. And this one was just not the same. So, yeah, I ended up getting dumpsters and getting a crew in there and just, it worked. I Airbnb'd it for a bit and then I did a cash out refi on it and then now I'm owner financing it. So it's gone through all the cycles.
Yeah. So that was your first success?
That was my first success.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had different little like sections of it, like with the Airbnb and then the owner finance.
Yeah. So how are you sponsoring, I know you said the $32,000 was on a credit card.
Yes.
And you split that with somebody.
Yeah. It was 18 months, no interest.
18 months. So you paid it off in 18 months?
I think I paid it off. Yeah, I paid it off. It was before the 18 months.
Dang. So you were hustling.
I'm really frugal and I know when things need to get done, it needs to get done. So I was still working full time, mind you. So I was paying it, you know, in payments. With school, I was paying it in payments. So I was breaking it up into 3s. And then I was also Airbnb-ing my house at the time. So I had a little bit of extra fluctuation with my income. And then I had a pretty decent savings. I used to throw events, EDM events back in the day.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah. So I had a little bit of a cushion.
That's a rabbit hole. Should we go down that rabbit hole?
That's a little bit different.
So that's why when you came in, you were
I was like,
you were in spirit.
let's go. I was like, I hear the music.
That's cool. You used to throw Airbnb EDM events?
EDM events in Victoria, Texas. Yeah.
Really?
Shout out to whoever went to them. They know it went down. Yeah.
That sounds fun. I've never been to an EDM event.
Really?
Never.
No, it's the best. You should go. Highly recommend it. 10 out of 10.
But you got to go to like the Vegas one, right? The crazy one?
Oh, I mean, you can, but...
If you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
That's true.
Coachella.
I don't know. I've gone to EDC, so recommend that one too.
Okay. So back to Airbnbs. So you're a real estate investor. So like the way I personally buy my properties, first I go for the best deal.
Okay.
Right. So like I'm buying everything like if I'm gonna flip it.
Yeah.
Right. So like I want equity because I hate when wholesalers bring me a deal or realtors and they're like, hey, it's a good rental. I'm like, man, what do you mean by that? I already know when you say it's a good rental, meaning there's no equity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, my rentals are flips. I just happen to rent them. Right.
Yeah. There you
go. So because I know like from the outside looking in, I'm just getting in the Airbnb business. What I see a lot of people doing is buying like turnkey houses.
Yeah.
Airbnb in them, no equity. Like, do you do it differently?
I do it completely differently. So
How
I
do you
feel
do
like
it?
if you go that route, you're gonna fall into a hole. It's gonna be a money pit. So a lot of people right now are actually dropping out of Airbnb because they went that route, right? So they went in, thought you had to have all this money, you needed to have the cookie cutter house, it needed to look a certain way, and then you have a very high mortgage with the high interest rate, and then you just paid for all this furniture, and now it's not working out in your favor because you also may have given money to a property management company, and so you're out all this money. It's just not working out. So instead, the way I kind of go about getting these properties is I look at it as an investment like you, except I don't look at it to flip. I kind of run my numbers in different areas. I'm like, okay, if I got this house and I look at it at this interest rate, I have this little calculator that Rosa gave to me. She was on your podcast the other day.
Oh, shout out Rosa.
Shout out Rosa. She gave me this calculator. And so basically I'll put the mortgage in there. I'll put the interest rate. I'll put what the taxes are. Break it down completely, and it'll give me a bottom line of like, this is what I would be paying monthly. So I get that number, and then I'm like, okay, well, how much could I make for a rental? Let me run a quick number and run some comps, or just get on Rental Meter really quick to just spit me out a number. And I'll be like, is this going to make something? If it does, okay, cool. Well, then that's one strategy I could go that route.
Yeah.
If I flip it and I put X amount of money in a rehab, and then I go ahead and have the ARV, am I going to have money in there? Cool, okay, maybe that's an option. And then with Airbnb, if it works as a long-term rental, it'll for sure work as an Airbnb.
Right.
I base it off of 20 days. I look at the comps in the area.
Even if it's in the hood or something?
If it's in the hood, it's a little different. Yeah, location is important to an extent. I mean, you can... It doesn't have to be by like a crazy event center or something like that to be successful, but it probably shouldn't also be like in the hood.
Yeah, because I remember that's what, when we met, I took you to one I wanted, and you were like, it's a little too...
Well, it's because, you see, I have a property that's also, it's 5 minutes from the AT&T Center. So it's around, it's kind of downtown.
East side?
Yeah, it's like a good-ish area.
Yeah.
But the neighbors across the street are just a little hood. And I had some people that were like, oh my gosh, I'm so terrified. I put the coffee table in front of the glass door in the back. Like, we're scared for our life.
What?
And I'm like, for your life?
Dang.
Like, really? For
it
your
is a little
life,
rough over there, though.
It is, but like, it's a brand new parking lot behind me.
Uh-huh.
New builds to the right, one neighbor to the left, and then it's just the people across the street.
But it's just the east side's a little tricky.
It's just,
Have you been there at night?
It was 7 minutes from the property that you showed me. I'll have to show you the property though. That's the one I'm building on.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. It wasn't the worst. It's not. It's pretty clean, but still you get people
But the east side's
complain.
very like it's on the come up. There's a lot of new builds. There's a lot of investment activity. You know, it's not the same as the one I showed you. So that's actually a question I wanted to ask you though. So what do you think about Airbnb? Why can't I get this right?
You're good. You're good. It'll come to you. Okay.
That's actually a question I wanted to ask you. So like, what do you think about Airbnb and houses in the hood?
Okay, so Airbnb houses in the hood are not the best way to go. If you end up going that route, you're going to have so many people telling you they feel unsafe. You're going to be giving refunds. You're going to have guests arrive and then drive right off and be like, yeah, no. So I've had a couple people do that too. At the building that I showed you in the last video, the fourplex. So I had people get there and they're like, yeah, we don't like the neighbors.
Really?
That's not even that little castle next door.
Yeah.
They
didn't like that?
They didn't like that because, you know, sometimes they're out there, they're drinking, they're kind of just chilling. So they're like, I don't feel safe. I'm a single woman. I was like, I've been there the whole time by myself. It's fine. Like, you're okay. So I don't know. It's going to just give you some more headaches than you're probably going to want to deal with.
Yeah.
So
short term.
Short term is not
owner financing.
Probably owner finance.
Yeah.
I would go that route.
Yeah.
Just depending on the area, I'd owner finance it, get a larger down payment, somebody that might not be able to qualify for a loan, and then be able to make your monthly until you're done with it.
Gotcha.
So
okay. That's a question I always had because I actually would zoom in on parts of town that I have houses.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, it's not bad. $100 a day or something, you know? And I'm like, do they actually get rented though?
It just depends. I'm telling you, it's either that area or it's going to be, I don't know, maybe neighbors that end up doing it for you if you have like crazy neighbors.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it should work for the most part.
I get it. So you do both. So can you give me like the pros and cons of long term versus Airbnb?
Yeah.
Short term.
So I prefer Airbnb because I like to see my properties continuously.
Like the interior?
Yeah, I'm hands on. So if something breaks, I'm fixing it right away. You know, I'm like messing with it, getting it done, painting something. You know, that's what I like to do. And then I have family come in from out of town, so that's nice for them to have a place to stay too. Plus the cash flow is really nice. It's a lot nicer than long term. For a long time, I was scared of doing long term, but there's this new insurance called Rhino that now kind of made me a little bit more secure. So I have a couple rentals, I won't lie. And then my 8-unit in Corpus, those are all going to be long term. But if I had to choose, Airbnb would be the route to go. Even with the headaches that may come with it, it's worth it. To me, it's worth it. Cash flow.
Yeah, because the cash flow is like what, 5 times more than a short long term.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it makes a lot more money than I would make off these long term.
Right. There's just a lot more management, though, right?
There's a lot more management. So you do have a lot of people asking questions. Where is this? Where is that? You might have listed all of it in there like 5 times. They're still gonna ask you though. It doesn't matter. And then you'll get people at the like the middle of the night. Hey, where's this? Or the batteries in the remote are out. Or I don't like the way this looks, or literally anything. So the customer service aspect has to be on point, and you have to be able to internally handle that to be okay with it.
I don't think I can handle that.
I don't know. With 8, it got a lot. It got to be just, that's why I had to put somebody on there to help me co-host, because I'm like, these people are driving me crazy. But in the best way, because they make my...
yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a lot sometimes.
So I hired a property manager to do it for me. I hope they do good.
Well,
she seems cool.
You see, unless it was me, but no, I'm kidding. It's not that they wouldn't do a good job, but you still need to be involved in your business. You need to make sure that you understand what's going on. You need to check the way they're communicating with your guests, because somebody could say, hey, how do I get into this property? And they could tell your guest, I already have it in the check-in instructions, check it. Or they could say, oh, here it is, just in case you have any other questions, it'll be in the check-in instructions. Which one's nicer? Who's going to be I know he did not just tell me that, Right. So if you're not paying attention to stuff like that, it can definitely affect you. It'll affect the way they see or perceive you, and then that can affect your stars also.
I could see that.
And then if there's damages that don't get addressed in time, just different things.
I got you.
But communication's key. So
okay, well, that's something I look into. The stars of, are you a super host?
No, I'm not a super host.
You're not a super host?
No.
What are the benefits of that?
So as far as a super host goes, you get a little badge that says I'm a super host, so people will see that and they may trust you more or feel more secure with you. But it goes based off of different categories. So response rate, cancellation rate, if you've ever canceled anybody. There's a couple other factors that I cannot think of off the top of my head. But my
reviews and stuff? Reviews,
you have to stay under a certain amount. That's correct. Under a certain amount, you'll be disqualified if you go too far down. Really? But mine's communication. So I don't respond within that time frame all the time. So that's why I'm not a super host.
Do you plan on becoming a super host?
If I respond faster.
Well, now you have your co-host, right?
There you go. I have my co-host. It's just more so... there's certain people that will inquire about something, and I feel like if I decline too many of them, if it doesn't work, that's also going to go into the algorithm, and it's going to affect me. So I much rather just not be a super host, because I've done it for so long. So it has so many reviews and shows that I have a lot of reviews.
How many reviews do you have?
I don't know. It's 600-700 over the 8.
Dang.
Since 2016.
That's a lot.
They're all just racking up
on
each property.
And most of them are all just good reviews?
Most of them. I don't always have, there's certain people.
There's some people that just never happy.
And then there's certain people that'll be out for you to try to just get their way, and when they don't get their way, then...
Oh, trying to get their money back and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, but tell me about that. Give me an example. Do you have a story or something?
I have a recent one. Oh, gosh. It also says she's a host, too. But so she wanted to stay long-term in one of my units, and she ended up leaving because I guess she didn't want to have to pay. She lived in Austin. Something had happened to her. She was like, oh, I don't really need to stay here anymore. And so I was like, well,
she booked it already.
She already booked it. You already booked it. So then a couple days, she's like, oh, well, I heard gunshots outside, so I'm leaving. It's not safe. and was like, I want a refund of $2,000 something. I was like, that's like your whole stay. You stayed here. You had a pet here. You like did all of these things. I paid the water, electric, Wi-Fi. No, we're not doing that.
She knows the game.
She knows the game. So after that had happened, she went ahead and contacted Airbnb, and they're like, you don't have to refund her. You know, it is what it is. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to refund her because she's over here going crazy. She had the audacity to tell me, because I told her I'd go check the property and I'd let her know the condition, and then we'd talk about maybe like a small refund. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'll let you know after church. And she put in there, well, I hope you're not a Christian, because if you are, then we don't act like you, and we're not. I was like, girl, you're coming after my faith. Okay, like that's what we're doing. All right, cool. Dang. So then she ends up posting in a review, if you worry about your safety at all and you care about your life, don't stay here and run for your life because gunshots are heard here.
Wow.
And I was like, no freaking way. And that's the only review that I can't get removed from Airbnb. They're like, well, we don't have proof it's a retaliation post. I was like, this girl went off, questioned me as a Christian, and that I'm not like her. Yes, all of it's there. So side note, get everything through Airbnb. If they try to like text you on the side, no, put it through that messaging portal. And even at that, sometimes screenshot it, because if it disappears magically through the thread, and that does happen sometimes, just make sure it's documented. But they still would not remove it. And I was like, do y'all really not see this? Because she had even side messaged me and was like, if you refund me, I won't put a bad review.
She even said that?
Yes.
And so they still didn't take it off?
And they still didn't take it off. I was like, how do y'all not see this? Are y'all crazy? Like, what is going on? So that's the only one that's still lingering on there. That's just like, run for your life. But whatever.
That's a good story, though.
It is what it is.
So some of them you can't take off?
If I was persistent enough and called back and continued, yes. But it's a battle between you and Airbnb.
You should do it, because that's probably worth it.
I'll call online. Next time, that'll be the next podcast. What are y'all doing? Take this off.
That's crazy. So she's trying to sabotage your cash flow.
Yes,
she's trying to get people not to rent your place. And there's 4 units there.
Yeah. So realistically, though, I don't know if this is frowned upon or not, but I deleted that listing, and then I created another one without that review. Granted, it still does show up on like all of them, but it is what it is. They're still booking.
Did she get her money back? Did you give her any money back? Good.
No, I didn't give her any money.
Good.
At first I was like, I'll be nice and give you like this much for the days you didn't stay, and then just charge you for 2 days after to give me time to put somebody in there. I thought it was fair. But after that, I was like, oh no, girl, we're not doing this. You're not getting nothing. Not even a penny.
Dang.
So
what's crazy? What are like some of the craziest finds that you found in your property?
Craziest finds? So like, I haven't had, as far as like objects and stuff, I haven't had the absolute craziest, but I think I had some kind of like sex party thing at one of my properties. They were like all along the windowsill. They just had stuff lined up, and like they even had live animals there, like rabbits. It was just, wow. It was a lot. And I walked in with their stuff everywhere, and they actually didn't check out at 11. So I had to go through.
Wait, were they still there?
They were still there. We had to call the cops. So they did not like that very much.
That's crazy. What else? Anything else?
Bongs. They've had left some bongs. The best thing, and this is going to sound like super small, but every time I would clean, when I first started and I would clean all the Airbnbs, beer and snacks would be the best. They're not crazy finds, but they were the best finds. I'd be like, dang, this is mine. I get this and take it home. I'm for real. Like, those are the best freaking things. But as far as like the craziest, those would have to be it. I mean, I've had some people tear my places up, but as far as fines, those are the ones that take.
Dang, so the sex party, did you have to like charge them something extra?
I actually had to do an air cover for Airbnb because there were some damages, and then the rabbit had like droppings all over the place, and there was just stuff left everywhere.
That's
and I mean
crazy.
Everywhere, all the rooms.
You had to charge them for demonizing your
property.
I
know, go in and like cleanse the whole house.
That's so funny.
Jeez.
And then you said, so you've had people mess it up.
Yeah. I've had people damage that recently.
Like with parties or?
No, just in general. This was actually one lady, and people now that they've changed some of the rules with Airbnb, people are trying to work their way around the system. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the issue. I never had issues like this up until this year, where people feel entitled and they're just trying to find a workaround. So this lady had 2 dogs, and I allow pets in all of my units, like we mentioned the last time. Mm-hmm. But she lied and said that they were service animals. And I knew they weren't. I'd been by that property and some of the blinds were damaged. Multiple were like pulled down. The screen door was messed up. And I was telling Airbnb, I was like, hey, like this lady is damaging my property. She needs to leave. There's no way these dogs are service animals. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't even taking them with her. And you could hear them barking all crazy. And so I was like, man, y'all need to get her out, get her out, get her out. They wouldn't. So I had to message her. And
Who didn't get them out?
Airbnb. They said I canceled, I was going to cancel it. And they said, if you cancel it, $1,000 is going to go back to her because she was staying for a month. So she was going to get refunded. I was like, she's going to get refunded? She's damaging my property. What do you mean she's getting a refund? Yeah. So it was a whole thing. And so I told her I was going to call the cops and I was going to go into the property with the cops because her dogs were left there. She didn't take them. And she was like, I'm on my way back. I'll get all my stuff tonight. So when she goes, I went out to eat with a friend and I was like, it's going to be fine. I walk in, piss, shit, like the cigarette butts, everything, everywhere, all over the floors. The dogs tore up the bathroom, the door frames, the door, the shelves I had torn off the wall. The mirror was torn. Everything was damaged. Everything had pee all over it and like all the dishes. They had cigarette butts just like sitting in the sink to where I was having to like unclog it, get all this stuff out. It was the worst. And so I was so upset because I had told Airbnb days before. I was like, what's going, like I told you to get her out of here and now look at this, you know? So they refunded me $3,000 in damages alone that I just put in there. But it happens. Other than that, it hadn't. Like I said, this year, there were 3 claims I made this year, which that sex party being one, that one being one, and then a lady that was like hoarding within 2 days time frame. And, but yeah, it's gotten a little crazy, but it was manageable.
Sounds interesting.
It was a lot. I was there like, no, she did this to my house. But
have you considered vlogging? I feel like this would be an interesting series.
Maybe I should.
Vlog 1, the sex party.
Well, no, I recorded all of it. Like I have the content. I just never put it together.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That sounds interesting. So I feel like I'm going to have these stories soon because now I'm going to be a landlord and that sucks.
Hopefully it's not as bad. I mean, it's over a long period of time and it hadn't happened until now. So I think you'll be okay. Start with 1. When it gets crazy, let me know.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to start with 1 and see how it works out. So like, you know, you've been in the business for quite a while. You make good money doing it. I would say you were like a professional Airbnb host. What are some of the most challenging aspects and what are the benefits?
Okay. As far as challenges go, it would definitely be the customer service and just making sure that the guest is happy. So you can have your home completely set up, ready to go, clean, amenities, all listed, everything's fine. Mm-hmm. But some people can still find a way to just be difficult. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to happen. So understanding that that is going to happen is one of the biggest like mindset shifts that you're going to have going into it. Because if you're like, something's going to happen, it's okay, no matter what it is, then you're good. But if you get these messages and you're like, oh, you know, I'm mad at this and mad at that, it's going to drain you. Because I was like that for a really long time. I had to just kind of accept and like, it's fine, we're going to get it fixed and we're going to go from there. If you're not as hands-on, since I am hands-on, I don't mind going and fixing things. I've had a toilet that would leak. I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to come over here and I'll fix it right now. It'll take me 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. That is something that's been beneficial for me because if not, you have to get a contractor out there. Will they get there in a timely manner? You know, what are your options there? So I could see that being difficult for somebody that might not be as hands-on. Mm-hmm. But as far as benefits go, hey, I quit my 9-to-5 in 2021. So like that's my biggest benefit. My biggest like hoorah is that I was able to make money off of this business. I have my own schedule, which I would not change for the world. Yes, you'll get those headaches, but hey, like you're going to get headaches working for somebody else. I much rather work for myself than work for somebody else. And then the cash flow is great. Yeah, it's really great. So like when you're determining, because like I'm starting to do rentals and like with the interest rates, like the freaking rent, the cash flow is really bad right now. Like for instance, I'm going to refinance one. I'm going to cash flow like $200. Oh. But I'm capturing a lot of equity. It's an appreciating side of town. So I'm like, okay. I was in Airbnb it.
but it's probably not
It's
the best.
not.
It's like the kind of like the other one I
Like the
showed you.
first one?
Yeah, so I'm gonna rent it. It just has a very good. I have a good equity position in it. You know?
Oh, that's
so
good.
and my taxes and stuff. But I think because $200 on it, it's not worth it, right? Like, would you Airbnb or something for like? Is there a certain like least amount of cash flow you would have to manage a property?
Not necessarily. I feel like if something has potential, then I would definitely go the Airbnb route. So, yes, it may not necessarily be worth. So, even if you're making 200 though, they might mess up your comforter. Your comforter might be $25.
Right.
So, how many times are you replacing things, and are you actually cash flowing? And if you think that it's gonna go up though, then it may be worth it. Or if you think there may be another exit strategy later, this gives you the option to say, oh, I'm going to Airbnb it for 3 months, and then I'm going to change my direction. If you rent it long term, you might not be able to touch that house for a year because you have somebody in there.
Right.
So I think it's worth it as long as you're not losing. And then if you're wanting to maybe switch gears later, or it's a house you have now and you just need to do something with it.
Right.
Or owner finance.
Yeah.
Those are typically my options if I need to figure something out fast is either the Airbnb and or the owner finance.
So, you would cash flow? Like, if it was only gonna make $200, you would cash flow that?
I mean, what other option? I don't like to get rid of houses, right?
Yeah.
So I would
It's
have
a lot
to
of
do
work for
something.
200.
It's a lot of work for 200, but it just depends. There's certain places that like if I'm so for that one on Adams Hill, for instance, right? I knew I was going to eventually do a cash out refi, and I didn't know if I was going to rent it or if I was going to owner finance it. So in the meantime, I Airbnb'd it. So even if it wasn't going to make me a lot, I needed something to do with it so it's not sitting there. You know what I mean? So, and some of the months were good because it was a bigger house. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, man, it went down because everyone wanted bigger gatherings. So like for your house too, they're going to want bigger gatherings where they can have a lot more people over.
Yeah.
But yeah, some months just didn't do it. So it just kind of depends on what you're wanting to do. And then if I needed the money or wanted the money out of it instead of doing that and that wasn't worth it for me, then I would just owner finance it.
So it fluctuates a little bit. Like some months are just better than others.
Yeah. And then January for everybody in the world this past year was just not the best.
Yeah.
It was okay, but it was not the best.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I would think like for me, I gotta at least cash flow $500 a month after everything. Because it's a lot of management.
It is a lot of management. I'm just used to it, I guess. And it gives my cleaners like something to do. So it also gives them, you know, opportunity, which it helps me in the end.
Yeah.
But typically I think I wouldn't, if it was me personally, it wouldn't be anything like $1,000 is where I'd need to be at least.
Yeah, that sounds much better.
But much better. Yeah. But I mean, if you're first starting out, I don't want somebody to get discouraged and be like, oh, now we have to sell this house and sell all this furniture and do all of this, because that's not necessarily the case. You know, that gives you a buffer or some time in the meantime to figure out what your next move is. So that's always an option too, instead of giving something up. You know, because you'll eventually things will appreciate, and then maybe you have a different option later on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because like the only reason I was considering $200 a month was because like it's just a long-term tenant.
Yeah.
Just whatever. Like you don't really got to manage that. You know.
True, but the reason I wouldn't want it long term is so the AC breaks and it's $5,000. Your $200 just went out the window. Like, yes, you should have insurance, but even if your deductible is like $1,500, all of your money for the year is gone.
Oh, you know what I mean? I'm not. Well, I guess I'm not really doing it for cash flow. I'm doing it for appreciation.
Okay.
And then I guess also, I just want to build a long term thing.
Yeah.
You know, like for the future, and eventually the rates are gonna go down again. And I'm at like I think I'm gonna refinance like at 7% or 6.5%. Yeah. Eventually it'll go back down to 4, 3.5, and then my cash flow will go up. You know? Yeah. So
that's what I mean. Those instances where you can hold it and hold off until you can change.
Yeah. Again. And I can own, that'd be a great owner finance property. But I want to hold it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Because once you owner finance it, it's gone, you know? It's kind of like you sold it.
Maybe. I just got one back. That was my first experience getting it back. Yeah. And now it's a solid rental, but it's just like how you hold out, right? I had it for $119 to sell, and at the time I couldn't even get $78 for it. So now I have it as a rental, and it's doubling what the rent is. But that's because I got it back. But if I would have sold it, they would have had it June of this year, and it would have been theirs. But I got it back, and so now it's working. So holding out works.
It would have been theirs June of this year, and they let it go.
And they let it go. They were behind 5 payments, and I was like, I'm done. So I had them sign a deed in lieu of foreclosure, and took it back.
Dang, it was gonna be theirs in June.
It was gonna be theirs. I mean, they had to close on it, right?
Oh, okay.
They didn't have
it like
paid
a balloon
off.
Or something?
Yeah, it was a balloon. It was a 3-year
gotcha.
balloon.
Gotcha.
But it still was going to go in their name, and they lost it. They just lost all opportunity. Down payment, everything. So
that's unfortunate.
yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. They were putting their money elsewhere. I know. I see them on Facebook. So they could have paid their bills.
So do you think that you can turn this or scale this into $1 million business?
Yes. So I definitely think it's scalable to $1 million business. You just have to have all your processes in order. You need to have a good cleaning team. I sat there searching for the longest time. Was it a handyman I needed the most? I even tried an assistant. At one point, I hired an assistant. And then I was like, I'm going to get a VA. I don't need an assistant. And then the VA thing didn't work. My biggest issue was cleaners. So
I feel like that would be the biggest issue.
That was the biggest issue. And having that done properly, they're like your biggest asset. So if you get that handled properly, and then you get the like messages, the automated messages sending at certain times with the check-in instructions, and you have that down to the T, then you're good. You could be scalable. You just need to have the processes. And when I first started, I did not have the processes. I was like, we'll get another one. Let's get another one. And then at one time I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get all this stuff in order. It's a big mess, right? So if you start with those processes early on, then you're good.
Okay.
And you can scale that.
Okay.
Probably more, like just depending on what you want to do.
Yeah.
Everything can grow.
So what does your team look like right now?
As far as a team, it's mainly me. You can sit there and you can message from your phone to your guests, right? So you can do that from anywhere. The only thing that requires more so like hands-on is visualizing the properties, which my cleaners do. We now have a seamless process, which is great. Having the handyman go out, and other than that, you can communicate with them from your phone, you know? So I handle all of it still. I do have a co-host that helps me. During the meantime, sometimes I'm not always there, or I'll be like, hey, I'm busy, I'm doing this, can you watch out for it? And I do the same for her property, so that really helps out. And then that's about it. Like if
it's a small team.
It's a small team.
Yeah, I mean, but if you scaled it, obviously you're gonna need this, and you're gonna need some more.
Yeah, because I just picked up co-hosting for somebody else and helping out, which I don't personally want to do. I'm completely fine on the cleaning aspect, and I picked up another lady's 8 units on the cleaning aspect. So now it's from 16, 17, 18 properties that I'm cleaning just alone. I'm like, ooh, this is getting a little, and we gotta figure something out here. So scaling just that alone without all the other parts and other properties and other management aspects, it can be. I'm sure it can definitely be there.
Yeah, it's gonna turn into a business for sure. Like you're gonna need all sorts of, because I mean, for me, so I'm doing my first one, right, and if I can, I mean, some people are saying like from the location and having a pool and stuff that I'm gonna make pretty good cash flow.
Yeah.
And if I can get those type of numbers, like I'm gonna go all in on it.
Yeah.
Because I don't need that many properties to cash flow a decent living, you know.
Yeah.
And I've seen these guys, like you mentioned the Airbnb nerd. That's his like thing.
Oh yeah.
That's like his trademark.
Little logo. Yeah.
I was talking to him at one of his pints and whatever.
The pints and properties.
Pints and properties.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. And he was telling me how he makes like $4,000 to $5,000 in cash flow off certain properties in certain parts of town. I'm not sure if that's after or before the mortgage, but regardless,
it's still. So they have they've added a lot of things, which I did want to ask him about. They have like the little cowboy pools and stuff like that with the heated pump. I don't know if it's beneficial though. I don't know if you're going the heated pool route, because I was looking into it. It's about $5,000 for that heat pump, and I'm debating it because I've seen a lot of things fluctuate as far as like the electrical prices, and so once you weigh it all out, I want to know if it's worth it or not. You know, because that electric bill, they said it will run with that heat, like it'll just continuously run, and then it'll just completely throw it out of whack. So I'm like, is it worth it though? I don't know, because then during January, people were asking me, do you have a heated pool? And I had to tell them no. But how much more could I make? You know?
There you go.
So thing to think about with your pool, you know?
So I guess it would just keep that, he's trying to keep that summer number, you know?
Yeah, I think
keep that going.
And those are those little, you know what I'm talking about, right? The little cowboy pools, the little metal tins.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
The tross.
That's $5,000 for that?
No, the pump.
The pump.
Well, at least for my pool, it's $5,000. But
is it deep?
I was looking.
Is it like 5 feet?
No, it's
it's like you just sit in it?
You just sit in it. They're super small.
What's the point of that?
I have no idea. People
looks
do
cool.
it. But
I know, I've seen it, yes.
But I saw that, and that's what I was wanting to ask him about. Just because you had brought him up, I was like, I wanted to see if it's worth it, you know? Yeah. If they turn it on, take care of it, if it's more hassle. That I haven't done. So.
Yeah, but I mean, $4,000 to $5,000 for property.
That's a lot. But that's why I think, because they're having those extra amenities that they're putting on there too, you know?
I think we're gonna do a show with him. I forgot when we're gonna do it, like next week.
Okay.
I'm sorry, next month. But I definitely want to get into that because man, it's all cash
I was
flow.
like, put it on there, ask him.
$4,000 to $5,000 a property.
Yeah.
You get 10 of those, like,
And then
it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, I mean,
to me.
it's debatable if your mortgage is low.
Yeah.
Like my very first house, my mortgage is $850, and that one makes $3,500 a month. So that's nice.
It's how much was the mortgage?
$850, and that's because I pay
$850?
extra. Yeah, that's because I pay extra on the mortgage.
You have a pool in that one?
No, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
And you make $3,500.
$3,500. Near Lackland.
Dang.
So, yeah.
Is it because it's by Lackland?
No, but it used to be because it was by Lackland. I had a lot of the Air Force graduates, but I don't have that anymore. It's more long-term stays, and I don't know. It's a really homey, like little cozy house. It does good.
Dang.
So I don't ask questions.
You're talking over $2,500.
Yeah.
And cash flow a month.
That one's my baby. That's my.
Dang.
That's why getting a house with a low mortgage is important.
This is the holy grail of cash flow. I feel like people are missing out on this.
You just got to do it right, though.
Yeah.
You got to do it right. Just there's different people that'll go in and be like, I'm going to have everybody manage it, and I'm going to go buy this nice fancy house. That'll kill you, you know? Like, if you do it right, you go in low mortgage, fix things up that need to be fixed, do some decorative stuff right.
Yeah.
Then heck yeah. Dang. Holy grail.
I like that. 2,500. See, now that you're talking my language.
Well, see, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I mean, you just need 5 of those, and
yeah,
it's a good, healthy cash flow.
There you go.
I would love that.
Then you end up with the 170 a year, and then
there you go.
They're good.
We're on route.
We're on route.
All right, so I'm on.
You're good. You're good.
All right.
You'll get there.
All right, you just got me excited. I forgot the next
go buy
question.
A house.
I'm moving. You know what? I'm moving all of them to Airbnb.
Right.
No, I'm just joking. Do you have any like goals for this next coming year, for this year? They're trying to hit
this year, not as far as Airbnb goes. I think things were a little crazy last year. We had a fluctuation of things going up like drastically, and then things just plummeting right back down. So this year is going to be more of an actual base number. So I feel like it should definitely be higher. Also, I added that house with the pool this year, so I'm excited to kind of see how that does. It'll be my first summer with that one.
Nice.
But no, mainly just getting everything that I have currently in order. That's my goal. I want to at least by, say, October, and then maybe move forward from there. I have the 8-unit in Corpus, and that one is lacking in, I just got a good property manager in there. And so I'm trying to get all of those rented out, do my cash out refi on that one, do a cash out refi on the pool house. And then from there, once I have a clean slate, then I'm going to jump right back in. But I've realized juggling too many things. You'll see people on social media, they'll be like, oh, we have these like 10 deals going on right now. And I'm like, ugh, that sounds like a heart attack to me. I don't want to have 10 deals going on right now. That's too much, you know? Yeah. So I just want to maintain what I have. I'm growing that cleaning team, helping others out in the cleaning. And then my other properties, getting them a nice fresh start. And then I'll jump back out there. Nice. And we'll see what that next house is going to be.
So you're building the foundation this year. Yeah. You're getting everything on point. You got an 8-unit in Corpus?
In Corpus.
Dang, how does that look? How'd you get that? How'd you find it?
Actually from a wholesaler here in San Antonio. I got that in my email one day, and I was like, let's drive to Corpus and see. It looks too good to be true. So I bought that one for $310.
Dang.
And it's all 8 units. It's a little bit lower end, but it's still supposed to be on track to make on the low end 4, on the high end $6,000 a month. So I'm ready to get that one done.
$4,000 to $6,000 long-term rentals?
Just depending on what I rent them out for, right? Wow. So they were renting. There was only 2 tenants in there whenever I bought it. All the other ones were kind of like trashed. So 4 of them are good. They're all up to par. They're ready to go. I have 3 tenants in there now, so I need 1 more. I want to fill those up before finishing the rehab on the other 4. And then once it's rented out, then I'm good to go.
Dang, those are great numbers.
Yeah, they're great numbers, but it's kind of it's a waiting game because right now I'm still paying my private money monthly, and I'm waiting for these to fill up before I finish that out, because I'm like, why am I going to have brand new pretty units sitting there when nobody's in these? Like, let's get these done first, you know? So
what do you think about the Corpus market?
I will never buy another property in Corpus again.
Oh, why?
I'm not there. I'm not physically there. And I hadn't been there in a really long time. No disrespect to Corpus at all, but it's just not the area I would want to have my properties in per se. There might be other ends, like on the other side of Corpus, but this is still close to the mall. This is close to the beach. This is close to everything. And it's just a little rough. And I'm not there. Yeah. So I would rather not. I had a window unit stolen already. I had somebody break into one of them. I'm just like, nah. Keep me here in San Antonio, Victoria. I'm good. Like
Victoria, Texas?
Victoria, Texas.
Shout out Victoria.
To my hometown. Hey. But yeah, those are my stomping grounds.
All right. So for the viewers watching that want to get into Airbnb, let's just say they're probably just starting. What are some bits of advice that you would give them?
Know what you're doing whenever you're going into a property. So you could say there's two different aspects. You might already have the property. Going in is a different route because you have it. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the property, you need to learn the investment side first because you need to know how to buy. Buying is the most important. If you buy right, everything else will fall into place. If you have the property and it's your house and you're wanting to Airbnb it, then just make sure that you look at the comps on Airbnb, act like you're a guest, get on the guest side, search for places around you, see what that looks like, and then furnish it or make it look kind of similar to an extent as far as like the furnishings. Like, is it more of a high end, low end? And then put your own little touch on it. If that's the easy part, because you already got the house. Yeah. But on the hard end, definitely buy low. That'd be the very, very first thing that I would say. And then once you get that, then still follow the same process as if you had the house. If you buy low enough and you fix it up, I know this is a whole different topic, but then you could do a cash out refi. You can pay yourself from it. Use that for your furniture or whatever it may be if you do it right. You know, if you buy low enough.
So if you buy like an investor with equity, let's just say like at 70%, the other 10%, because when you refi, what do they do? 80%?
Just depends on how long you've been doing it and who you're doing it with. I have gotten 80% and then some do 70. So if you have at least 70-80% of the ARV and you can get that money out, then that's, I mean,
that's the furniture.
That's the furniture, or that's your cash in your pocket. You might even have the furniture. Yeah. I mentioned to you before, I'm real frugal. So my stuff is not all brand new. They come from different places. There's stuff from Goodwill. There's stuff from Ross. We have just different things. It doesn't have to be crazy expensive for you to make it work.
So how much do you usually spend on furniture? And
I could furnish a whole thing for like $2,500. Literally, that's
how many
it.
bedrooms is that?
From beds to the bed frames. Let's see. I would probably say at least a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
A 3-2?
3-2. That's the silverware. That's the plates. That's everything. Because I'll just get Dollar Tree's my best friend, and so I'll get all of like the dishes and stuff from there. Then Walmart, I have like a whole little thing as far as what I've already bought, and I have it in categories, and it says Airbnb list, and I'll just go rebuy it. Really? So yeah, I've priced a lot of these.
Wait, how many bedrooms for $2,500?
About 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
A 3-2 for $2,500.
3-2, yes.
You're talking about a bare house.
Bare house. I have a lot of extra stuff, and a lot of the things have been given to me. So if I look for a couch,
I spent like $2,000 on a couch.
No, I don't. All the couches, I think, and literally all of my properties, with the exception of the fourplex, I paid $169 for a futon. And that was it. The other ones had either been given. I'll wait. Like, that's why I need my garage at that one property, because I'll put stuff in there whenever people are getting rid of stuff. I had looked before on OfferUp, like who's getting rid of what are we doing? Put it in there, and then it just.
Damn, I can't believe that. 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Swear.
You're talking about a couch, a table,
yes.
3
you
beds.
Walked in. Yeah, but you walked in, so I'll get the beds off of OfferUp. They are clean. They are.
The mattresses?
Decent. Mattresses, yeah.
So you can use mattresses?
I'll get used mattresses. Okay. And I'll put the covers over them and all of that. But yeah, they are used. I don't buy them brand new. Okay. And that's where a lot of, I feel, the money goes.
Yeah, mattresses are expensive.
Yeah, and then the quilts that I buy them from Dollar General. They're $20. And then the sheet sets, there's this thing on Facebook. It's called like Amazing Deals something. It's a group. If you wait on certain days, they're like $6 for the whole sheet set. So I'll just buy them all. I have them like all hoarded, a whole bunch of queen sheet sets. So once they're there, then I'll just like dish them out, you know?
Dang.
So dead serious. And I don't have a lot of like decorations or stuff in the rooms, honestly. And I have a lot of paint. I'll go paint stuff myself in the room, paint a wall, get a picture from Goodwill, put it on the wall, and call it a day. One bed, maybe one nightstand. I think one of them in the pool house, I think they were $5. 2 of them were matching. $5, you get your bed, you get your sheets, towels, your silverware. And I mean, there's not the couches. Other than that, you don't really need a lot. The TVs are the most expensive, but there's a place. It's Office Liquidator. I'm just throwing everybody out there today. They all get
good.
free shout outs. Office Liquidator something on Bandera. Their TVs are $40 for a 32-inch. $40.
$40?
$40. They take all the inventory from like hotels and stuff, and they resell it.
Oh, is it that big one?
Yeah.
That big store?
Yeah.
I never seen them have TVs there.
Yeah, they have them there. I go in there. I bought all of them for the pool house there, $40, and then I just use the Amazon Fire Sticks, which also go on sale on that Deals for Days page. So I buy them in bulk. Yeah.
Albert, how much what was our budget for that little ass 2-1? It was like $6,000. 5-6 grand, and we were gonna go over. We were gonna spend like 8. Oh, that's when you reached out to me.
Okay,
because we did that
no.
video. Yeah, so if y'all guys are watching this and y'all saw the when we were at IKEA and we went shopping for a 2-bedroom, 1 house. My budget was 5, and then we started adding everything up, and it was like, damn, it's gonna be like 8. And then Riley came in and was like divine intervention.
Don't do it.
Oh,
no, dead serious. Like even Priscilla, the one that bought that house from you, when she was doing hers, I'd be on Facebook or I'd see something and it'd be like $80. I'd be sending it to her like, somebody's getting rid of this, you know? So if you're always watching, like that table at that house we went to, that was $80. This guy redid it himself. Like,
dang.
I don't know.
There you go, guys. There's some tips right there.
Yeah, reduce furniture, paint something.
I'm gonna rewatch this podcast.
Yeah, rewatch it.
we got some good tips. What are some of like the little smaller charges people don't see? Like obviously you gotta have internet. Mm-hmm. You gotta have TVs in all the rooms. All the rooms. At least the living room and the master. At least the living room, master. Sometimes if it's like a 3-bedroom, I'll put one extra in there. Especially if I'm getting those TVs, I'll go buy them in bulk and then just put them in the rooms. Mm-hmm. As far as like extra things that you're paying for, water, electric, Wi-Fi. So how much is your Wi-Fi bill with like 8 houses?
So I actually one day called over to AT&T and it was like 8 a.m. I'm an early bird, right? And so I was like, hey, what's a deal that you can give me? Because I saw they were giving away Visa gift cards. And I was like, what is a deal that you can give me if I'm switching over? And I don't have all 8 of them because the 4-plex runs off of 1. So that's good. And I was like, I'm switching all of these over from Spectrum because they raised my bill. What do you got? And he was like, well, hold on real quick. I've never had anybody call me this early trying to switch over that many. He's like, I can give you a $100 Visa gift card for each one. I said, sold. Let's do it. So each one's $50 a month, or maybe $55. And then, you know, they always raise it after like a year or whatever. So I'm going to recheck with him when it hits. But the one for the 4-plex, so it's $75 because it has to have enough to reach all of them.
Right.
So it's not that expensive. But yeah, he takes care of my people. I have his number, so anytime somebody needs Wi-Fi, like for our house when we switched, I was like, "Hey, where's that Visa gift card?" So it makes it worth it.
That's cool. So it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
It's not that bad. Okay.
But those are the only things, honestly, that as far as like monthly expenses, that I would say, unless it's a pool, you know, and you're maintaining something like that. Or replacing stuff if people break it or damage it. They stain towels. People stain so many towels. I don't understand. Or like sheets. I've had my sheets for like 2 years. There's no stains on them. Everything's fine. So somebody comes in one day and they're like torn up. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Same with the towels. But other than that, replacement costs and cleaners.
Okay. So like, you know, since you're like a professional Airbnb host, that's what you do mostly. Do you see anything like happen in the near future that can affect, you know, Airbnb, like with the city or anything?
So the city has already tried to come to me once in regards to the way I manage the 4-plex. So I would say if somebody's coming into this, make sure that you get your permit in advance because there's only a certain percentage. I think it's 12.5% of block face that's allowed to. So on that same street that you're on, only so many people are allowed to have a permit. And if you don't, say you get it ready, you buy the house, you're already in it, and then they deny you, then there you are.
So would you buy the permit before buying the house or apply for the permit?
I would check with them if that house is Airbnb-able. Just to make sure, because I was like, they're not going to come after me. They came after me. So
so what happened? Did you have to stop renting it?
They didn't even send it. They had the address of that property, not my personal address, even though they've contacted me before at my personal address, so I knew they had it. And they just slapped on $300 fines, three $300 fines on the doors for $900. So I had to go to court. I walked the whole block, 200 square feet. I got people to sign this little petition saying that it was fine and that they liked it. And then I went into the court. They lowered everything to $25 each. I paid $50 total. And yeah, they still kind of bother me a little bit. But their main issue is that they think I'm not renting some of them long term. There's certain rules. I got 2 permits approved out of the 4. And they want you to basically do the other 2 long term, which I do. But I still have it listed as a short term, and they don't like that. So. But so I am abiding by the rules.
Oh, because
you can't have 4 on the same. Oh. But I do 2 of them long term at the same time. But I give people the option, like, do you want unit 1, long term, or this one long term? So I'm always abiding by the rules. Oh. But they don't like that I'm marketing it as short term still. They want me to be like, this one specifically is short term, this one specifically is long term. I was like,
I didn't think about that.
I am abiding by the rules, so we are fine.
Even though it's just one address. It's still 4 units.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Unless I knock down all the walls.
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, I know y'all are getting a lot of value off this. I'm actually learning a lot from this, so I hope you are. Drop some comments. Drop some love in the comments for Riley. Share with your friends so they can learn about real estate investing. And to end the podcast, what are some of your end goals in real estate investing? Like what are your end goals, your lifetime goals? Do you want like a certain amount of cash flow or something like that? Or
I'd like to buy like a really big apartment complex. Like if I could do that, that would be like awesome. That's something I've been looking into. I need some help getting in there, but ultimately long-term goal, that would be great. Like I think that would be awesome. But as of right now, maintaining like what I have, growing that and like scaling that. So if I am going to get more Airbnbs, getting that process a little bit more fine-tuned, and then just keep buying till I can't buy anymore. Okay. That's about it. Once they're all paid off, like I pay a little extra a month towards each one to get the principal down, so I'm not paying so much in interest. And once I'm kind of there, then it's already great as it is. It can only be better from here, right? So that's my goal. We'll kind of see how it goes.
Well, I think you're going to do great. You're already doing great.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming on the show. I learned a lot, and I'm sure the viewers did too. For the ones that are interested, because I don't know, from the last video we did on YouTube, they were all like, hey, where can we find her? They really liked you.
Thanks.
So where can they find you on social media?
On Facebook, just search Riley Rivera. TikTok is Riley R100, and Instagram is Riley R10. So... yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. You know where to find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, JR Clutch. We're going to peak, man, this next month. We got a crazy lineup for you guys. We just had, if you just saw the last one, we had Jesse James Leha, world champion boxer. We're going into other businesses. And we really got some cool stuff planned for you guys. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in on the channel, and I hope y'all really like it. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Stay clutch.